Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood. And coming up on today's episode, a Hail Mary pass is pretty much a football term, and of course a prayer. But that's the point. Several decades ago, one auditioning actor who was shown the door held that door open long enough to toss a Hail Mary pass to the producers. That last-second pitch landed him the role of an iconic character in one of the biggest TV comedies of the 20th century. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with today's guest, Cliff Clavin from Cheers, John Ratzenberger. Hello, John.
Hey, Steve.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you here. I understand, you like to travel.
Do I like to travel?
I was watching a podcast that you just did recently with Ted Danson.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
Woody Harrelson. And they were talking to you about a trip you recently took. It was like an 8,000-mile total.
I've always wanted to travel since I was a kid. So grammar school. I love maps. I love what's there. What's Madagascar? Where's the Saragossa Sea? Stuff. And there was always books around the house. My father was a great traveler. He didn't travel. He was a truck driver. I guess that's as much as he traveled. But through him, I think, because of maps and stories he told about World War II and the Philippines, and he didn't say much about the war, but the geography he talked. And I love traveling. Just even when I was living in England for 10 years, I used to when I got offered a film or something, I'd see, okay, where's it filming, and I would pick the location. I didn't care what the film was about. I went, Malta, yeah, how cool, India. I did Gandhi with Richard Attenborough.
That was an experience.
Well,
I would think.
Yeah, because India. I mean, you really appreciate coming back here. I do. I did anyway. You feel so bad for the people, and that's why I always think that's got to be a corrupt government. Any place that you go to, and there's the poverty is people living in cardboard boxes right next to the Tiffany store. Something's wrong.
So tell me about this trip. You drove all this way.
Yeah. Well, across America. Yeah, I always. I've done it. I've done it on a motorcycle. I've done it a lot over the years, but that particular one with Ted and Woody, I just gotten back. I used to have a place in Connecticut, and I sold that, and so that's where I grew up. And visit a friend in Florida. I think I just weaned myself off of airplanes because of the hassle.
It's gotten to be more of a hassle each year.
Yeah, and it wasn't pleasant. So if I have the time, I'll drive. And if something comes up, you get a call, hey, you got to be here. Park the truck somewhere, get on a plane and go there and come back, get the truck and carry on.
Really?
Yeah.
That's resourceful. And you did all this driving yourself. You go alone.
Mostly.
Doesn't it get to be, or you enjoy your own company maybe?
I hadn't thought about that. I listen to the radio. I got music on my phone, and I have friends along the way. I've got a friend in Oklahoma City, a buddy down in Orlando, two friends in Orlando, Texas. I got friends, so I stop along the way. And, spend a day or two, and just visit, do whatever they're up to.
Most of us know you best from Cheers.
I was on that show.
Yes, I think I remember that. Cliff Clavin. Was that a great experience?
Great experience. That was an experience. I mean, that's a lot of money. They used to back the Brinks truck up on the lawn.
How nice.
Jeez, hey, come on, man. I don't need this much. But, yeah, of course it was. I mean, if somebody tells you, look, you got a job, but you got to sit at a bar and crack jokes all day. Yeah, okay. I could do that.
And your ability to crack jokes helped you kind of land the job, didn't it?
Oh, it did land the job because when I was in Europe, me and a fellow Ray Hassett, he went on to become a well-known cop in Connecticut, undercover. But anyway, we toured Europe, just making up our own shows on the spot, and we'd be on the stage for an hour and a half, no breaks. But not knowing, when we walked into that theater, we didn't know what we were going to do, and we did all right. We did. We were on the Fringe Theater, and so we were at the top of the Fringe Theater comedy heap over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up doing a lot of movies. And when I got here to Los Angeles, I got here to write something for CBS. But I thought, well, I better get an agent while I'm here, the acting. And nobody believed my resume. They basically called me a liar.
Well, it is kind of impressive. Maybe not at that time,
I
but
don't know.
you've been working since, like, I think the earliest thing I saw on your resume was in the 70s.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I was a carpenter before then. I was building houses up in North Vermont, and blizzards, they'd come in too early. And but then I got the opportunity to go over to England. My buddy Ray, sent me a postcard once. He said, "You should have, come out here and visit. It's great." So I got enough money together for a charter flight, Icelandic Air, and I don't even remember. I think they had folding chairs.
Come on.
I'm not sure, but I got there and I ended up staying 10 years. I was going to stay for a week, and I ended up staying 10 years and carving out a career.
Was that in the UK primarily?
Yeah. It started there. It started in London, in Kennington, not Kensington, Kennington, across from the cricket ground down South London. And there was a theater called the Oval House, and God bless him, Peter Oliver, who ran it, had the philosophy of, you can do any show you want. We'll guarantee you an audience, but if you fail, you fail. It's a big deal. So we were able to experiment, as were a lot of other people. And that's what Pierce Brosnan started. That's where I first met him. He was 16 years old. And at the Oval House, if you come up with something, he'll put you on stage, and there's the audience, and it's up to you. And so we developed our own improvised comedy show called Sal's Meat Market. And we toured Europe for 7, 8 years. And my last years there, I did movies, a lot of movies.
It sounds unlike Second City a little bit.
No, Second City
in terms
is
of
like
the
a
improv.
farm. Huh?
In terms of the improv.
No, not really, because they kind of rehearsed their stuff. And, I mean, there's some great people came out of there, no doubt, but it's more like a farm. It's more like, Second City, to me, is more like a comedy farm. Ray and I toured Europe in 2 suitcases, and we couldn't go home and have our mommy do our laundry. We were more like vaudeville. I guess that'd be the closest what vaudeville used to be here. Yeah, we'd set up and do the show and carry on.
How did the transition work from carpenter to stage work? Was there a transition per se?
I didn't think about it. I don't know. Let me think. Well, the stage work is indoors, so you're warm in the winter.
I mean, carpentry work.
Yeah.
Working as a carpenter and then going onto
I
the
still
stage.
work as a carpenter. You need something fixed? Some shelves put up?
Maybe when we're done. You still you like to tinker around the house?
Oh, yeah, I got a garage full of tools, yeah. I made some furniture for my granddaughter's a couple of years ago. A little rocking chair, Adirondack stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it.
You've had no formal training as an actor, right?
No, but I've always been a smart aleck as a kid, I guess, just where I grew up. And sometimes I get you in some trouble. But and think on your feet. No, never had really formal training. I did some in college.
Acting?
Did a little acting. And my first time on stage was Summer and Smoke by Tennessee Williams. And I was actually chasing after a gal that was in the drama club. And I thought, well, try out for one of those dramas. And hang out, there with her and her friends. And I got the understudy for the lead. And I thought, that's great. I don't have to do anything. I didn't even read the play. I had no idea what it was about. I was, flirting. Hey, how you doing? Hey. And the lead quit the night before opening night.
Bad timing.
The director said, looks like you're on tomorrow, John. Huh? That was scary. But I committed. I had to do it. I couldn't say, no, I'm not ready. But it's like taking somebody off the street. So, oh, by the way, you're going to play Macbeth tonight. What? And so the first half was atrocious. Poor script girl was standing off the wings, behind a curtain, and she was whispering things to me, the lines. Hello, miss. And I'm on stage. There's like 1,000 people out there. I'm on stage saying, what? Okay. And people coughing and they go, oh. And finally, because I had read the play, I had enough time to read the play a couple of times. I knew what it was about now. So I started making up my own lines. And after the end of it, but a fella, it was in the audience, Claude McNeil. He was a director of drama at Yale. He said, you're a good improviser. I had no idea what he was talking about. Just making crap up to get through, just so I could get off stage. And because it was a Weisenheimer, it ended up being funny. Enough of it, because I'd make comments about people. And but the rest of the cast, they weren't happy.
No.
But it's fine. So that's where I got bitten by the bug.
And then you just kept doing it?
Yeah.
You've landed in some big movies.
Yeah.
Gandhi.
Bridge Too Far. Valentino with Ken Russell.
Wasn't Rudolph Nureyev in that as well? Was that
Yeah,
the
he
one?
was the star. Yeah.
And what about Star Wars Episode 5, although my generation thinks of it as Episode 3.
What's the difference? I don't know.
Because when Star Wars first came out, there was the first one, the second one, the third one, Empire Strikes Back.
That was the one I was in.
Yeah. But then they came out with the threequel that came before it. All of a sudden, number 3 was number 5, and it was...
It's a good thing I don't pay attention.
I suppose. What was that like, working in a Star Wars film?
Well, the thing that impressed me, again, as somebody who grew up building things, always the sets. The first thing I noticed, it was because of the graduation of the sight line. Like, that looks like a mile away. Well, it's not. It's only 10 yards. But the way they graduated everything with making the things smaller, and they had smaller people way down the end. I said, wow. I know this because the building is a finite situation. It only goes so far. But that looks like it's miles away. I was always impressed by that, by their artistry.
Very early on in your life, you became interested in building things, right? And creating things.
I grew up in an area where that everybody did. Everybody knew how to build something. Everybody knew how to fix something. I mean, something that goes wonky in your kitchen or something breaks down in your car. If your father, your uncle, yourself didn't know how to fix it, the guy next door knew. Or the guy next door to him. an electrician there, a plumber there. So everybody helped it. There was never a repair service truck on our street. It was always, hey, Otto, he knows. I think he works over at Asbestos. Oh, yeah. And there was always tools, and there was always people figuring things out and building things of their own design. And so that was a nice thing, too, to know. Yeah, you could do it yourself. But we've lost that in America. I used to do a show called Made in America. And that's the reason I wanted, especially young people, to know that, yeah, you can do this. You know, you just scrap wood. You can figure it out. Driving a nail is daunting in the beginning if you don't know how. But somebody shows you how to do it, bum, 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 there you go. But it's also a sense of accomplishment for a young person, confidence. You walk taller because you did that, you fixed that, you built that. You're part of that. And I even when I go back home to Bridgeport, buildings that I had a hand in building, still standing, the roof's still on, and I haven't fallen apart. And when my kids were younger, I'd always go by a couple of these buildings and so hey, I put that roof on, But as the years went on, they got older. Every time I slowed down, we know, Dad, we know you put the roof on. Can we just get something to eat? So I stopped doing that. But it's a sense of accomplishment.
We'll be back for more in a moment. So what was your impression when you first moved to L.A.?
Oh, when I got off the plane, I looked around and I thought, I'm never going to live here. There's no way I can live here.
And how long have you been here now?
100 years. I moved my family when my kids were just 3-4 years old up to an island in the Pacific Northwest and started a little gentleman's farm up there. I had a lot of different varieties of apples. And in truth, the only reason I started the orchard is so I could ride machinery. I love the backhoe. I spent, I think it was 9 hours one time.
On a backhoe?
On a backhoe, digging a hole.
And how did you feel at the end of the day?
Wonderful.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You kidding? It was like a kid going to Disneyland. No, so I dug a big, I noticed some water coming up and tasted it. It wasn't salt water. We were on, there's shores right there. I thought that's probably salt water. Or was it septic? No. It's fresh water. So I dug out a big pond and set up the little waterfall going out and this and that. So that was a nice project.
You sound like a pioneer.
Well, no, I think maybe it's a DNA thing. I like doing that. I really love it.
You like working with your hands.
I'm getting dirty at the end of the day and sleeping solid. Nobody actually says, oh boy, I'm going to work with my hands today. It's just part of you. And wherever I go, I look at stuff and say, geez, I could fix that. I did that once on an airplane. They had some small problem, and I told the waitress there, like a flight attendant, I told her I was an engineer. And so anyway, long story, but I fixed the thing, and then when we were getting off the plane, some of the other passengers said, you're not an engineer, you're Cliff. I said, yeah, thanks for keeping it secret.
Yeah. Do you like being recognized in public?
It's just part of the deal. In the beginning, it was annoying. I didn't know how to take it. I didn't know. And when people were looking at me, the supermarket or out, and you could see them like, pointing at me and laughing. Again, where I come from, it was nothing personal. But I said, Phil, what are you laughing at? You looking at me? Yeah. Really stupid stuff, but then I realized, the TV, people watch it, and that's part of the deal.
And Cheers was an extremely popular show.
It was Cheers. I guess, according to a lot of people, was one of the best shows ever.
I think so. One of the best comedies, best sitcoms. I worked in Louisville, Kentucky when it first came on the air at an NBC affiliate. And I remember that first year was a little tough.
Yeah, nobody was watching it.
No.
But
I watched it there
Emmys.
because it was and it saved the show. Can you remember that first year? Were you at all concerned about the thing folding?
Not really. Thought, well, I'll just go back to London. I was doing fine over there. And when I got Cheers, I thought, well, we'll see what happens here. It's more like signing up for an adventure. When I first came to Los Angeles, okay, let's see what this adventure is like. What's going to happen here. But I'm that way with everything. If I travel, okay, it's some kind of an adventure is going to happen. We don't know how long it's going to last, who else is going to be involved, but it's an adventure. But you learn more things along the way. So now I can act, I can write and direct shows. I couldn't do that when I first came to L.A. But that just teaches you to learn a lot.
Did you have any idea? I looked at your resume, and as I mentioned, you've been working since the 70s, but you've never stopped working. You've never had a period of time in all those years where you ran into a dry spell. I guess you would be a very good example of a working actor.
Again, I don't think about those things. It's just if something is not under your control, if you don't have the say-so over what goes on here, you just put it in God's hands. I got nothing. Whatever, and so you accept things as they come, do your best, and carry on to the next thing if there is a next thing. But John Lasseter, meaning John and Andrew Stanton, I'm going to be working with Andrew again, doing Toy Story 5. Yeah, and but John Lasseter started that, and so he and I became pretty good friends over the years. She's got to be 28 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, well, talk about a nice guy. Good family, and his kids are having kids, So it's anyway, but it's an adventure. You don't know what's going to happen.
Have you encountered people that you've worked with, co-starred with over the years that you felt like you've learned something from? I mean, you've worked with some big names.
Yeah, I've worked with when you talk about big names. I've actually worked with James Cagney.
Wow.
And Pat O'Brien on the film Don't Tell Me, Ragtime.
Oh. Which I think was James Cagney's last film, maybe.
Yeah, and Mickey Rooney. You see, I think he's probably the most underrated actor ever.
Mickey Rooney?
I think Mickey Rooney was as good, if not better, than anybody that's ever been in front of a camera. If you look at because his Andy Rooney, he did all that, and he'd sing and he'd dance. That's what actors were.
Andy
then.
Hardy.
And
Andy Rooney was the guy on 60 Minutes.
Oh, Andy, that's right. Oh, he's one of the Andys. Not the ones in Peru. But, yeah, I think he's very underrated, Mickey Rooney.
One of my favorites that you worked with on Cheers was Francis Sternhagen.
Oh, Francis, yeah,
who we lost not long ago.
I went to her funeral in New Rochelle. That's where she lived with her family.
She was a wonderful actress.
Yeah, every time she was on set, you felt like, well, I really gotta do a good job because we got a real actress here. This is someone serious.
I saw her on stage in Driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
She was wonderful. And, of course, her performance in Misery, I thought, was incredible. She did so much. Who else comes to mind?
Well, let's see. Melvin Douglas.
Mm-hmm. Big name.
I was we were in Germany doing Bridge Too Far. And I was playing this commando, and I think he was playing the president or somebody way up. And at the hotel bar, I just sidled up to him and said, "So what advice do you have for a young actor?" He goes, "Just don't die. The older you get, all your competition is dying. Finally they'll end up with you."
So, the longer you stick around.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a very nice man. Burt Lancaster was in that. Burt Young. We became friends on that set. There's a lot of people.
Do you see folks from Cheers still?
No, not really. Ted lives out. I don't know, maybe he lives out where the fires were somewhere. Oh yeah. He lives just down there, and George is down here, a couple of blocks away. So geography,
Yeah,
is
in L.A.
In L.A. That's you have dear friends you hardly see.
You have to take a map with you.
Yeah, because of geography, and it's such a pain in the neck to get there, and you dare not drink. You get caught.
Speaking of which, do people ever come up to you at bars if they see you in a bar or they see you in a restaurant and send over a drink? Or has that
No,
trickled off?
that hasn't happened. That's George. I think that happens more. I get recognized, every time to time. But no, the free drinks, no.
What about your grandchildren? You've done so many Toy Stories now.
Yeah.
Did they appreciate those? Did they hear you? Were they able to identify you?
Last
your voice?
night, the little ones, we were playing the game on the table, and she was, "Papa, yeah, honey, are you famous?" Because the day before it was grandparents' day at the school, and so anyway, but then I got recognized there a lot. People say that, and so I think that's where she picked it up. Are you famous? Not as famous as a lot of people, but yeah, I used to be more famous than I am now. Yeah.
Did she like that answer? Did she want more?
No, it was just our eyes, and she smiled, and we went back to playing the game.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and she's a lot smarter than I was at that age. Boy. Yeah, my daughter's done a great job. But the kids are really sharp kids. And nice, they're
Good kids.
pleasant to be around, yeah.
I keep wanting to ask you that one story about your audition for Cheers. What happened?
Well,
George gave us his version. You give us your version.
Yeah, it was. I had just finished co-writing a sitcom for CBS, and this agent that I knew, he wasn't officially my agent, but he says, "Hey, you grew up in New England, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." This is down at Paramount. They're casting a show that takes place at a bar in New England. I said, "Oh, good. So you want to go?" I said, "Sure." I had never auditioned in my life. I didn't know what sides were. And so I get there, and they hand me the sides. And they may have sent it to me the day before. I forget. But I looked at it and go, "Oh, that's nice of them. I don't know what the hell this is for, but, I put it down." They said, "Okay." So I go in, and they're sitting in a semicircle, like a dozen people, writers and producers and whatnot. And I'm looking around like this. Jimmy Burrows said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "A chair." He says, "You're not here to chat." He says, "You're here to this audition." I felt like such a fool. And I think the blood just drained from my body. Like, "John, you're being such an asshole." But I didn't know, living in England and not really being connected to Hollywood, I didn't know their reputation. I didn't know that these were the Magnificent Seven, the big guns. This is it. It doesn't get better than this. So I didn't have any consciousness of that. It was just some talented guys who were in a semicircle. So the part was written for what became Norm. And so I staggered through it, just thinking, oh my God, I got to get out of here. I said, thank you, John, thank you. And I don't know whether it was my imagination that created this and made it real for me, but I swear I saw my 8x10 wafting into the wastebasket. I'm just going, there you go. Okay, thanks for stopping by. And so going out the door, I had my hand on the knob. Opened it halfway, and it just dawned on me, bar, New England, my place my father hung out. And I said, you have a bar know-it-all? And it was Glenn Charles who said, what are you talking about? That's all I needed. Oh, so I grabbed I think it was Glenn's desk but somebody's desk. Grabbed it was a ballpoint pen, a Bic, top comes on like a 19-cent pen. And I said, the big pen wasn't originally called the Bic. It was called the Bitch. And it's a true story, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Two French brothers, Bich. And somebody finally said to them, look, I think you better drop the H. It's called Bic. And they did. That's how Bic pens started. And but I did it as a horse's patootie, just the big because there was a cop from my hometown that always I just get a kick out of him, the attitude. Hey, it's well that's the expert. They always have keys hanging from their belt, which signals I know a lot of stuff. Look at all the stuff I know. I'm responsible. And so that character, so anyway, I made them laugh enough that I could leave with a little dignity. And got the call 2 days later, but I said to them, well, whatever it is, it's got to be some guy who's got keys hanging from his belt. I don't care, he could be a security guy, whatever you want, but he's got to have keys. Because that's his authority. People don't understand that. Because when I was touring Europe, that's who you look for in the theater. I don't care who owns the theater. I don't care who the president of the Arts Council is. I want the guy who's got the keys. Because he knows everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they always come with an attitude. Yeah, well, that's the, we did the, I'm still, well, you never, it just cracks me up. So that's how Cliff came to be.
And every bar today has trivia contests. Must have grown out of that. Out of, the fact that there's always a know-it-all in a bar.
I don't know. No, I think there's just but there's never two, you see.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned that as a kid, where my dad hung out, the watering hole. See, most of the guys hung out at the watering hole because they all came back from World War II with PTSD, and there was no pill, there was no therapist. Mm-hmm. It's just like, all right, go, just suck it up. I don't care what horrors you went through. So they all gathered at the bar at the end of the day, and everybody, they were a comfort for each other. So, but where my father hung out at the end of the bar, the guy's name was Sarge, and that was his stool at the end of the bar. And even when they put the TV and they put it right up over his head, and he couldn't really see the screen. I mean, he's looking up the nostrils of John Cameron Swayze. He's, if he want, but TV was right here, but he wouldn't move his chair. But he was the guy that everybody deferred a question to. Hey, Sarge, what's the length of a whale's intestine? Baleen or blue? He had a menu. And, but even as a kid, I was 8 years old, sitting there. You know, my father would say, "Hey, come on, dinner's ready," or whatever. But it just even cracked me up then as a kid. God, this guy doesn't know.
Yeah.
But it was just funny. But it's the attitude. It's the cocked head. The guy who thinks he's Dick Tracy and Elliot Ness rolled into one, and he's basically writing tickets out in front of church. Yeah.
Yep. What about on Cheers, working with Kirstie Alley? How was that?
I just, this morning I ran across. It was on X. It was a scene of Cheers where Wade Boggs comes into the bar, the Red Sox All-Star. And nobody in Cheers believed it was Wade Boggs, so we're giving him a hard time. But Kirstie just fell on the floor laughing on the day. She comes out and goes, "So you're Wade Boggs." And just the way Kirstie, her delivery was just marvelous. I just miss her.
Do you?
Yeah, she's wonderful. She was the most giving as a person. She would throw parties like Easter parties. She'd have colored eggs for the kids, and she'd dress up as a princess, and her husband would dress as a frog, and it was just wonderful. And then at the end of the day, after the food, the celebration, the games, because it was all the families of Cheers, all their kids, and if their cousins were visiting from out of town, they'd bring them, the crew, their kids. I mean, it was a big event. She just didn't have, Ritz crackers with Velveeta. But at the end of the day, you're exhausted. Sitting on the lawn, and all of a sudden you heard music, and you look down the driveway, and there's the USC marching band coming up the driveway.
No kidding.
You never get over that. Just how giving is that? She didn't have to do that, but she did it. Yeah, I really miss her.
Hey, tell me about some of your inventions. You were talking about them earlier.
Again, as a kid, we basically, had to entertain ourselves. So I'd put stuff together, whether, a tree house, but nobody was there. It was the era, I think, of your parents just said, "Go outside. Come back when the streetlights are on."
Exactly.
And you did. So you're on your bicycle, you could be 5-10 miles from home. You don't know where you are. There's no cell phones. Even if you had a cell phone, you didn't know what your number was. But the bike breaks down, the chain snaps. So you got to fix it. You got to figure it out. You're, 8 years old? You got, and you go into a gas station and, negotiate with the guy who owns a gas station. He might kick you out. He might say, "Yeah, okay, yeah, here, you use the tools here." And you just start tinkering, putting stuff together. Like I mentioned, that in a Rector set, I made my own phonograph, a 33 to third, with it was a hat pin at the end. That's what you put. Any long story, but you cranked it, and the sound came out. The record playing, and then came up with a new way to package things instead of using styrofoam. The name of the company was EcoPack. Sold it to another company in Ohio, and I think they've sold it. Might be, but anyway, it's worldwide now. But I just, again, I remember when I first got to LA, I was dating, as you do as a young man, and got all that testosterone. Got to do something with it. So I was up in this girl's flat. She was I think she was a doctor's student at UCLA. Anyway, she had these boxes in her kitchen And I thought, oh, look, there's a lot of dust on them. So how long they've been here? So, I don't know, just 6 months. And they were furniture, they were deck furniture, like balcony furniture, lawn furniture, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I said, why don't you put them together? And I was genuinely puzzled. Why would somebody? She says, well, I don't know how to do it. I said, well, you got to know somebody that knows how to do this. No. None of her friends. She was younger. Or, the girlfriends, boyfriends, nobody knew how to do it. So I got a suit on then. I remember taking my jacket off and roll my suit. Under a half hour, I had them all assembled out on the balcony. It's like it was like I was Merlin. How did you do that? And that's when I realized there's something lacking that's really going to bite us in the butt as a civilization. If no young people knew how to put together this sort of simple stuff, and doing this and screwdriver and pliers and whatever. But yeah, that's what I just like putting my hands to it. And if I don't know how to do it, then find somebody who does.
Especially if it's from IKEA.
Yeah, that's a good example. But even so, I made sure that my kids are handy. And my son's a plumber.
That's handy. I wish my father had taught me some of those things. He studied to be an electrician and ended up being a Baptist minister. So it never went any further.
But he was an electrician. That's a skill.
Yeah, it is.
See, right now I started a foundation a long time ago that's gave it to another organization, and they've changed the name. But they have classes now nationwide, summer classes teaching kids manufacturing skills, basically how to use tools. But there's one a special one for building submarines. People don't realize that. We're running out of people. And I gave speeches for 20 years of this. I said, you've got to teach your kids how to use tools, because someone's got to build the submarines, tanks, all the military stuff, all the infrastructure, the bulldozer that pushes dirt around. Well, somebody's got to make that bulldozer. Somebody's got to maintain it. Somebody's got to make the diesel engine. And all those businesses are running out of those people. You can build as many factories as you want, but you don't have the people to go in the factories. Because, I think my generation, the fogey generation, we were the last ones that went out and looked at the world in a different way. We were free to ramble on our bicycles. And, but we've run out of that. We've got to concentrate on that. Now, I know Linda McMahon, who's going to be the superintendent of education, and I'll put a word in her ear and see what happens. But that's shop classes have got to come back. That was canceled I think it was the Clinton administration, nationwide. Everybody had shop class. How to use a hammer, how to punch holes in leather, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think we called it home economics. No, home mechanics. Home mechanics.
And there was a home economics, too.
Also, yes.
You learned how to cook. And that's a skill.
And learn how to make Rice Krispie treats.
But it's a skill.
Yeah.
That's an oven, that's what size. You learned measurement. What's an ounce? What's 3 ounces? What's a gallon? What's a pint? In carpentry, you're learning what angles are. I mean, what's a 45-degree angle? You stop a high school senior now, or kids even in college, have a tape measure. Say, okay, show me 8 3/4 inches. Just point at it. They can't do it. Try it. I'm sitting here. God is my witness. And so that's going to impact our civilization, if it hasn't already.
I think it may have in some cases. What would you tell your younger self about Hollywood?
My younger self, young people wanting to come to Hollywood, I tell them, get a skill first that you own. Again, like carpentry, electrician, a cook.
Like something to fall back on?
Something that you own, that you take ownership of. Because you can walk into a room of 1,000 people, and everybody can say, "Well, yeah, I want to be an actor. I want to." And you can go and say, "Well, I'm an electrician, but I'm going to try this acting thing out." At least you've got the confidence that you're worthy, that you can actually do something. Because acting, you come and you go.
Yeah.
And it says, Hollywood or television is the only profession that it eats its own young. And that's true. Like, people like me, George, or you go back even further of different TV shows that were hugely famous, and a lot of those people are still around. Oh, well, what are they doing? You think of the good old days, but it's not like, hey, at 80 years old, you're going to get another sitcom. Ain't going to happen. But people still are here that believe it will. Anyway. So what I tell my younger self?
Yeah.
Get a job on a fishing boat. Just, it was worth it. I was lucky. But I don't know if I'd actually recommend it.
And we'll be right back. Didn't I hear a story of you telling a story that you told of your son catching a shark once?
Yeah. That was his first fish.
First fish.
We were out on a boat. One of my favorite boats. I'm a sucker for boats because I grew up on them, so I was kind of a sailor guy. Anyway, we were out on our boat. This is up in Puget Sound near Seattle, and fishing. He was 5, and the water was really clear where we were fishing. And he's got something big on the line. I can see that pole bend over. Dad, help! I need help! And so I looked down, and it was a small shark. Thing was really bad, and he was struggling. And I remembered the scene in Bambi's father, there was a forest fire, and Bambi struggling to get to his feet. And the father saying, "Get up, Bambi. You can do it. Get up." I had to laugh at the moment, just say, "You can do it, son. You just reel it in. It's yours. You can do it." And he did. And, really, I got a picture of him somewhere holding that shark up. Yeah, so I just got a kick out of it.
Yeah. What's been the high point of your life so far?
Oh, I know. Obviously, the experience of raising children and that, but it's really hard.
How much value do you put on your career in terms of looking back at your life as a whole? Do you feel as though you've accomplished something?
No, I think I was kind of stupid. Here I am on the biggest hit show on the planet, and yet recognizable actors, I would be afraid to approach them. Even if I'm someplace like a restaurant, "Hey, how you doing?" Go, "Oh my God, that's Sylvester Stallone." I would just clam up, because they're stars. I didn't realize that I was one too. That I was in many ways on an equal plane, but that happened a lot. Bumping into people and them saying, "Hey, how are you? okay. But that's just stupid. That was just me coming into the business from outside the business. There was no introduction. There was no tour bus for me saying, this is this, and this is what they do here. And I didn't know that.
Was there a low point in your career?
Oh.
A lowest point? When you got through it, that you went, whew, got through that. Was there ever a period of time where you felt that way? That you weren't going to get through it?
Oh, I do that all the time.
No.
Well, I mean, if you're like Dancing with the Stars was one. They asked, because there was some guy, they were going through the rehearsal process, and he just couldn't handle it physically. And so somehow they thought of me, hey, let's get that goofball mailman. And it just didn't occur to me to ask the right questions. I don't know. When I went into it, I knew I had 2 days. I said, and how much rehearsal did the other people have? 3 weeks. So, okay, everybody else got 3 weeks. I got 2 days. Yeah, okay. It's just like, it was stupid. And one day was taken up with press and costume or wardrobe and all that. So I had 1 day. And poor Edita Slovenska was my partner. I felt bad for her because she had 1 day to teach me this whole routine. And I remember her trying, I could see the worry and the terror in her eyes. And she said, but when you go here, I said, and here's what we're going to do. First I tell my feet what's going on. The feet tell my ankles. Ankles tell my knees. Now, when I get all that together, then we'll worry about the flair. But but I did okay. I did, because all through the rehearsal that day, I had like 12 hours. She led, obviously. So when the music started to go out on stage in front of the cameras and everything, I took over, and I led. You could see the shock on her face. Like, where'd this come from? But I knew what I was doing. But the producers, an English company, I forget what they're called, they had selected the song Under Pressure. Pressure. Under pressure. Because I had a day. But that's the song I danced to when I first went out. And it wasn't embarrassing. It wasn't the best, but it wasn't embarrassing. I got through it. So it's that work ethic, I think, I grew up with. Just, hey, you said you're going to do it, you're going to do it. So just, suck it up. Get out there and do it.
What do you have coming up next? Toy Story 5?
Toy Story 5, yeah. We're going to probably record in May. That's not coming out till 26.
Do you enjoy doing the Toy Story movies?
Oh, yeah. Anything in this business I enjoy. It's
all an adventure.
It's a big adventure. You meet interesting people, the creative community, and whatever they ask you to do, I say, yeah, sure, I'd love to do that. Give that a shot, find out. And just got a call from a director. We did a film years ago, a small film, I guess considered a Christian film, called What If? And I guess there's interest in making it a big, go to big screens. So I got the call from him to join him and the other cast down in Texas for some opening. So that's a couple of weeks going to do that. And, stuff comes in.
Were your parents supportive of you acting in the beginning?
Good question. My mother certainly was. My dad was, he'd say, "Oh boy, okay, yeah, acting, huh?" Yeah. And again, he was a jungle fighter for 2 years of World War II. The stuff he'd been through and experienced, I couldn't even guess at. They weren't. They didn't get in the way of it. They didn't say, "No, you're not going to be an actor." They just shook their. Oh boy. Yeah. Okay. But my mother would show up at any time I did anything in college. I remember she and her sister, who was a twin, a cousin. I think one of my sisters. They braved a snowstorm that shut the city down, and they were the only ones in this 1,000-seat auditorium. And we did the show for them.
Well, that's pretty gratifying for you.
I couldn't have been prouder. Because my mother had a very unique laugh. And so, if she's in the audience and she starts laughing, everybody starts laughing. And so that was but no, my mother's very supportive. My father passed away, but my mother was there for Cheers. She came to the Cheers set. I think we sat her at the bar. And she got a kick out of that, yeah.
I'll bet.
She was actually in Dancing with the Stars. She flew out for that. One of the judges, he said something wasn't flattering. My mother started getting up. Now, she's in her 80s at this time. I thought she was going to hit him. So I swear, if my sister or whoever it was didn't hold her, she got up. And I saw that. And I just got a kick out of it. She would have given him a beating. At 80 years old. But yeah, so she was into it, and my father not so much. But at his funeral, or some guy told me the story that he asked about me, and my father just says, he's over in London being an actor or something. It didn't mean that he wasn't proud. It's just that was his way of expressing himself.
Who's your Hollywood hero? Do you have one?
I think my first one had to be Wallace Berry.
Why?
I think because he reminded me of my father. That gruff, the guy that, heart of gold, but you just didn't mess with him. He'll throw you through a window.
Yeah.
But just, if you really need, he'll be there. He'll be all over it. So, yeah, Wallace Berry. And my mother told me when I was really young, I wouldn't go to bed unless I saw John Cameron Swayze, the newscaster.
Right.
Was that in relation to Patrick Swayze?
I don't believe so. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, that's not an obvious name.
No. And didn't he do Timex watches or something? Wasn't he a spokesperson for Timex as well?
Maybe that's the reason I watched it, but I remember he'd put the watch on the blade of an outboard motor.
Yes. Would my life would have been different if I, what?
Everything. Because again, I really left home at around 18. I was a deckhand on a fishing boat in New England, but that was just out of necessity. That was just, you got to, because again, I grew up and you make your own money. Nobody had a dad that wrote a check or. When I was sweeping barbershops out at 10 years old. I actually got arrested at 9. So you were. And
for what?
Destroying. We had an underground fort in a swamp. Nobody knew it was there. You had to go underground to get to it. And then place where you smoke cigarettes and looked at Playboy magazines. But we showed up one day. It was Ascension Thursday. And so we were off of school, went to Catholic school. And there was these construction backhoes and bulldozers, they're going to destroy. And so we set about pulling out the wires and smashing them. And it was stupid stuff. But, so that was the first time I got a ride in the back of a police car. Anyway, but there was a lot of funny stuff happened even during that, and the how bad it was and how sad it was. But it was fun. There's one kid who we called Puss Nuts. That's all that I ever knew him by. That's all anybody ever knew him by. It was Puss Nuts. But it wasn't a put-down name.
Are you sure?
By the time it got to us, hey, Puss Nuts.
It was just his name.
That's his name. But it was the police station after we got hauled in for this. The cop was going down the line. All right, what's your name? What's your name? Puss Nuts. What's your name? He goes, John. And so we all looked at each other and go, his name's John. That's when we found out that his name wasn't always Puss Nuts. But anyway, but the question is, what would I have done different? While I was in England, I probably would have, if I had to do all over again, bought some land in Europe, either in Ireland or Italy.
Why?
I like the way of life. I don't know why. I just feel right. Like that's where I belong.
And right now you live in the desert?
I do.
Do you like it?
Not really.
Gets awfully hot, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then even when it's really hot, when I lived in Vermont, if it was really cold, like 40 below, you stay inside. You don't go out. Same thing. Really hot, really cold, so you stay indoors. Air conditioning or fireplace. What do you want?
Is it a dry heat?
I don't know. I don't even know what the hell that is.
No, that's what everybody always says. Oh, but it's a dry heat.
Oh, yeah. When people always say, well, if you go into a fireplace, that's a dry heat.
Yeah, my father would say a furnace.
Yeah,
Step inside a furnace. That's a dry heat, too.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody in the world says, well, is it a dry? I'm going to go there because it's a wet heat. Oh, yeah. It's moist heat. It's just something to say.
Yeah. Did you ever have to tell a fib to get a part?
Well, not really. I went into an audition in London and not knowing that the part, you had to know how to speak German. And I didn't know how to speak German. But everybody in the room knew how to speak German. And I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, miscommunication. I didn't know. I said, I don't speak German. But again, I don't want to look like a schmo. So I said, but I do speak Arapaho. The guy says, American, Indian. So, oh, yeah. And there was other Germans there. Like, oh, they were impressed. Yes, I could speak Arapaho. Could you? And I made it up. So yeah, I guess I said some words. Whatever I said, and they were so impressed. They all actually stood up to shake my hand before I left the room.
I would say that's impressed.
Yeah, but I said nothing. It's I can write Chinese too. But it looks like Chinese. But it just says nothing. I don't know what it says.
Hey, when you left Cheers for the last time, did you take anything? As a keepsake? Apart from your memories?
I'm trying to think. Oh. I carved my name in the bar top. So if anybody tells you, hey, this is a real Cheers bar,
Unless your name is there.
if my name's not there carved in, it's not the real top. I think that's all. I remember thinking about, well, I'm going to take the bar stool, or I really did. There's nothing I really wanted.
Do you remember how you felt the morning after the show was canceled? It wasn't really canceled in the same sense as some shows are canceled. It just came to an end, right? They decided to end it.
Yeah, I still don't know why. Well, Ted went on. I mean, he's a big star now. Did you see his new show?
I saw the one where he's the man inside, the man on the inside. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I like that.
I did too.
That's a good show. That's good. No, I don't know why it was canceled or why it ended. We could still be sitting at that bar. I know, it was the old fogies. Doing the old fogey stuff.
Do you have any advice for somebody going through a hard time in Hollywood?
Yeah, well, as a matter of fact, just 2 nights ago, long story, but I said to the gal, 1 foot in front of the other, is what my mother used to say. 1 foot in front of the other, that's all it is. Just keep going. And I said, if you don't have control over something, if it's not up to you, then give it up to God. Put it in God's hands. God, it's all up to you. I just do what I do every day, keep myself alive and on track. And that's all you can do. Because the hard time in Hollywood usually is a mental thing with the individual. Oh my God, I got to get this part. Relax. You know, you're here, you're alive, there are people that love you. And I guess that's also advice too. Keep your family, don't push them away. Because at the end of the day, on your deathbed, it's not your agent and the manager that's going to be standing there. It's your family.
Yeah.
Your brothers, sisters, whatever. But, no, I'd say that. Just let it go. Take a breath. You'll be all right.
Hey, when George was here, he told us a story about getting a shotgun for Kirstie Alley.
Got it right over here.
Yes.
It was a big 5. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember going in on that?
Oh, yeah. We were driving around just trying to figure out, I don't know, I guess we were assigned or so they get something from, or whether we came up with it ourselves, I forget. But remember, jumping in George's car and we're driving around. Like, what are we going to do? Should we get her some cupcakes? Or then, I think it was me. I said, let's get her a shotgun. Yeah. And it was a store over here, yeah. And then George came up with a note, you're going to have to shoot your way out. And she really appreciated it because she's a Kansas girl, so I don't think it's the first shotgun she held.
What was the scariest fan incident to happen being in the public eye?
There's one audience member I remember just watching. Again, the city I came from, you had to have eyes in the back of your head. And so I'm just looking at the audience, and the show's going on. And there was one guy, for some reason, he was looking at Shelley and Ted. Just wherever they were, he was staring at them, but his eyes were just little nuts. And I thought, no, something's wrong there, because the action of the stage play, Cheers going on there, and this guy's looking where the actors are standing off to the side. And I said to the head of the security, Tom, I said, Tom, I pointed the guy out. I said, does that seem odd to you? Yeah. So I went and checked the guy out. He had, under his, a samurai sword with, I think it was Ted and Shelley's name written on it. It was creepy, so they got rid of him. I never heard anything else about it. But that was nuts.
Yeah.
'Cause it came so close. But he just didn't seem right. Something's wrong there. For myself personally, well, a woman grabbed my arm, and I was holding my son, little baby, when it was this public market. She pulled my arm at the elbow. Well, now the baby's fallen. So look, I was fast enough to catch it with the other arm. But I'd laid into her and said, well, I'm never going to watch your show again. Okay, fair enough. So you don't watch my show ever again. That was the scariest moment I think I ever had. I never paid it much mind. There's annoying parts, yeah, but that's going to happen. See, it goes along with the territory, too. You got to understand. This is the jungle you're walking through. Now you got to figure it out. But nobody ever showed up at the door, nothing like that. I always had dogs anyway. Hoping they'd show up.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you sharing your experiences with us.
It's been pleasant. Thank you.
It's been pleasant for us, too.
Yeah, I see this is part of it. This is part of the experience. The adventure. Yeah, but thank you.
Thank you.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerly. Theme music by Brian Sanishin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.